Thank you very much for having me here and inviting me to speak to you all here at IKEA. I'm going to give you a little background about myself, about Premier, and tell the story that we had to become a circular service provider. And then I'm going to share lessons about the things we got wrong, because I think they're probably more useful than the things we've got right. So my background is I've worked in the environment sector for over 20 years, mainly from a recycling perspective, but struggling to set up reuse as part of that. So prior to becoming involved in furniture, I'd looked at construction projects and set up take-back schemes for materials such as plasterboard and other construction materials. In 2010, I left that world because I decided that the recycling sector wasn't progressive enough and not really providing the solutions that were needed. And at that time, Premier approached me to work with them because they were looking for more sustainable solutions for their clients. Fast forward 7 or 8 years and we have a facility that's over, I think, 5,000 square feet. It employs 15 people full time. The revenue's nearly about £2 million a year, and this is an operation in North London that really is just servicing mainly London and the South East, but it's growing and building the whole time. And we as service providers have ended up becoming remanufacturers. What do we actually do there? Well, we make used stuff as good as new, or try to. For some clients, we can cut down their existing desks and give them back to them. For other clients, it's a question of them wanting a different top or a different look and feel, and we can do that too. We can refurbish their chairs or, carry out some level of repair or remanufacture to make sure that they can actually go back to them and be used. And we think we're pretty much market leading in that. We certainly know that we're the leading facility in the UK and perhaps Europe. So we were delighted to have arrive at our facility some used IKEA office chairs that I believe have come from here. And also we went to our local IKEA in Edmonton, which is only a mile away, and had some new items come to us as well. And we were asked specifically by the teams here to look at them, to assess them, to take them to part and put them back together again and be honest about our findings. And we were delighted to also welcome some of the IKEA team to watch us and make sure we did it properly. We're still compiling what we learnt, and we've been sharing that in the last 2 days. But some of the obvious things that we've taken away or that we fed back into the process were the ability to dismantle things readily isn't there in a lot of the products, and perhaps needs to be considered more. Because if you're going to be taking the covers off things and putting them back on, how those items are put together are really critical in that. So we did that across quite a wide range of chairs, and there were, as I say, there were points that we took away. We were able to share about how things like the positioning of zips and how other items to do with the fixings were impacting our ability to refurbish them. We also looked at wear points. We looked at the casters, for example, and they're often a point of failure on chairs. And we were sharing our experience of being able to change these across a wider spectrum of office furniture. So there's more details being fed back into the design team. We found it really exciting to work on new products. Our team were really interested to learn from the design side what was happening. So watch this space. What can we share with you about our journey so far? Well, this is an important message, because when we started out, we looked to the market to see what was happening and what people were delivering. And no one else was doing this, what we thought needed to be done for the market. But I guess my learning was, just because no one else is doing it, it doesn't mean to say it's the wrong thing to do. Leading the way was scary, but we got to set the terms around what we do. We now see people out there copying and following what we did. But what we've set up and how we've devised our service is on the terms of our own delivery, and that's made it easier for us in the long run. The one thing that we know is that people aren't advocating linear production anymore. So this, although it was scary, having the terms of what remanufacturing looked like was something positive for us. This is our biggest lesson, and one we've been talking a lot about here. We got lots of things wrong. We bought the wrong machinery several times, and probably still will. We're not manufacturers, we're service providers. But as the service grew and developed, we needed different machinery. We got staffing wrong at times, largely out of fear and cost. We trained up our own staff and increased their skills, which is fantastic. But until we brought external professional refurbishers in, we didn't learn the lessons that we could do from people who had been doing furniture repair and refurbishment for some time. And I think also we realised a really important lesson is we have to make the experience feel like it's new. So language of reuse is an issue to perception, but if when the chair goes out it's presented as good as new, if the service is as good as new, and if when it's packaged it looks as good as new, that's something that ultimately is going to lead to a better acceptance of lengthening the life of these products. Bringing the customers with you was a key lesson with us. We tried things with our clients, we tested it with them, we got their buy-in from them, and by being that close to them, we understood better what's important to them. I spent years trying to sell the environmental and cost benefits, but on one of our largest ever projects, where we put remanufactured office desks across lots of offices, the reason the client bought into it was because it was quicker than buying new. Because if he'd ordered that volume of office furniture from his usual supplier, it would have taken a couple of months. We could manufacture his stock much quicker because the assets already existed. And it was that closeness to our client and listening to them that made us realise we had another advantage, another selling point. Expect imperfections. Looking for perfection is setting yourself up for failure. Just going part of the way, making progress, is a really big achievement in itself. And actually, the progress you'll make will give you the learnings for the next stage in terms of what you're trying to achieve. And be honest about that. I think one of the things that we've found in our service development is that although we've got aspirations, there's a lot that's outside of our control. And if we try and take responsibility for what's outside of our control, then we're setting ourselves up for failure. And really, I think for an organisation such as IKEA, the size, the complexity of what you're doing, I can understand that that might make people feel that it's almost unachievable. But by IKEA taking this on and growing this, it's not just a fantastic story about how you can lead the way, you'll be enabling so many other people to follow. It's the bravery that exists amongst the teams here and what I've been hearing about in the last 2 years, and the commercial opportunity that sits to support that. I actually think it's not just a pipe dream. I think it's a necessity for any business to take this kind of thinking forward. So thank you very much for having me.